can just be unscrewed.
Just screws on it, not stuck in it, no.
I don't think so.
So in terms of the monthly annual inspection, sorry,
I just thought of someone that might do some fencing, just to open that debate again. There's a company called Premier Fencing, and they're at Weir, but they do more commercial stuff and chain link runs and stuff. But they do domestic, and well, they do anything.
So what's been the cause?
Yeah, Premier Fencing.
Premier Fencing. Weir, you say? Weir?
I just thought of it.
Before?
Yeah.
Heroin.
Yeah.
She's got connection with the village.
Sybil's
sister.
Thanks, David.
Sybil Rich?
Sybil Rich's sister.
No, it's cousin. Sybil's cousin.
it was Brian and David's sister.
We might get more response.
Diana Rich.
Yes, you might actually.
Well, I'll think we're into it.
Yeah.
See what they come out and have a look at it. Yeah, okay, fine.
You're quite right. Is there anything we missed off debate in respect of what was on the monthly annual report from GB Sports?
Not aware of it, actually.
I think we've actually covered everything.
Yeah, as you say, that report was fairly fulsome compared with previous.
But it was worrying when you looked at the numbers they were quoting, because you didn't realise what the risk numbers were until the very end of the report. And then you start seeing risk level 7, and you think, hang on a minute, this is worrying.
Yeah.
And it actually wasn't.
One thing you need to know is that report that I get now, I send to the insurance company now as well.
What
Because
was the annual one?
The annual report goes to the insurance company.
Sure.
They have requested at least one report a year, so I just send them the annual report. That's the answer, really.
And they've acknowledged receipt.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, so if they're unhappy about anything that we haven't done, they'll come back and tell us, presumably.
Brian, did you want to say anything further about the the mature exercise yard?
Yes, I do. In fact, I did a letter. Where is it?
Is it
Which I think you
It's
saw.
on 8D on the agenda.
No, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want me? Can we do it now while we're on the?
Can do. I don't know if you bring something forward.
I'm just conscious that we're
Take
talking about
that,
the village,
yeah.
talking about the village greens.
So I'm going to be very kind that it wasn't put in the BKN as it was requested, but I know the editor is a very busy man, so he's going in, he assures me it's going in next time. But that's it. I think you saw it last summer.
Yeah.
We'll see the response then, won't we?
And see if it's met with rampant apathy or not.
So basically, we'll put it into the Brent Parish News, and if there is any response, we can then consider it
Yeah.
further. Okay. Thank you.
Well, and I've got loads of detail of what it looks like. So if perhaps you could put something on the end of that. Details of the equipment can be seen at my house or at Apex Park.
Yes, they're really good there.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. Anything on flood? Well, I guess flood prevention is not really an issue at the moment.
Well, I was going to try and get Andrew to go down and give the machine a fire up again. It's about time we fire up the pump that I've not seen. I'll try and do it this month.
Thank you.
Okay.
Parish surgery.
Yeah, we had today, Bella and I were here, and we had a little delegation from East Ryde. You'll probably remember about the ongoing problems there with regard to what are perceived as environmental issues initially. But however, that kind of moved on a little bit last time because they had problems with parked motorhomes on the highway, and we went through the peak wheels, and I think Bob went through the county as well. That was dealt with. Those things were moved, and it's now on private land, so we can do no more about that. However, sorry,
Not today.
we're back again now.
Yeah, I looked today.
Because the ladies came in here at what, 4:30, 4:45, and said, "Oh, fine, the problem's
She
solved."
did say one of the funds was back.
Did she? Oh, right. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
so that problem hasn't been solved then by the sound of it.
Who did the action last time? Was it the county or the police?
Well, I think it was the police, because Pete Wills dealt with it, I think, didn't he?
Yeah. Also, we reported it to Central on the planning front, and they contacted, so that the caravan element was moved on
Yeah,
site, because that was half and half
Yeah.
before. Therefore, it's off the highway. The other part is a motorised vehicle, and therefore that is allowed to be on the highway. So
As
that's
long as
the,
it's taxed.
yeah.
And it's taxed.
But moving on to the next stage, there is a concern that's been raised by the residents, represented by 2 or 3 people who live in the close, that suggests that they are in fact importing Romanian dog rescues into the property, and so therefore it's becoming a business rather than just what presumably was going on as a leisure activity previously. And so they sent me an email here, which I've told them to send to Environmental Services and also to Trading Standards, because if they're trading there, there's a possibility they might be infringing some sort of regulations on trading laws, being in a private environment. Do you want to elaborate a bit more? Because they were quite strong about it today, weren't they? They were really quite feisty
I'm
about it.
worried about the health of the dogs as well, and they are being taken on our fields and everything. And one lady was saying the little puppy had got streaming eyes and was ill.
They're coming out the dog.
They were down, where Thelma's bungalow was. He was down.
So they got nowhere to exercise unless they've got them in
No,
mind.
taking them down there, but worried about what the animal might have because they've been brought over in crates. So
They know that, do they?
well, that's what they've said
I'm
to
not
us.
surprised. I think
You
you
know,
know.
so if they're coming in to, where did she say, Southampton?
Yeah, one of the dock areas are coming into apparently.
Yeah,
and then-
Surely they have to go through quarantine.
Yeah.
No, well, they're not, you see, this is
Because
what
they have,
she's
I mean, these
saying.
days, if your
No.
animals come in,
No.
you have to have a passport.
If you've got a passport, they don't have to go into quarantine, but you can fake a passport.
But I also heard that she was breeding puppies.
No, well, these are
Somebody else
Romanian,
said
Well, the whole
that's
thing is
the
a
ones.
disaster.
Yes,
I'm
it's
quite frankly,
It's been a
barking.
disaster for the last
It's
3
been
years.
going on for
at
25
least.
years, actually.
Yes.
And we've had terrible trouble, not only with the dogs, but I think it's entirely inappropriate in a small domestic area where there is a bungalow that they should have chickens and ducks and turkeys and geese, which they have had, not at this moment, but I heard David was there today because we were doing all our fencing and this, that and the other. I wasn't there, but David looked at it and he now knows there are chickens in the garden. And it's just totally inappropriate in that area. The problem is, and I don't know, I have nothing to do with the woman, but it is well known that she's very, very, very difficult. And everybody in the area, they keep their peace, because I've spoken to one or two and said, no, I think they're sense. That is the problem.
So what?
Have you, but I have noticed, and I live the other side of the road, wait a minute, but the dogs are barking and
Oh,
No,
barking.
I can hear them. I can hear them back from there.
It's dreadful.
All day,
And
all
not-
night.
It's not just barking, they're
It's an
howling.
environmental house going there.
Oh,
Yeah.
They
It's
just
just
don't
a
want to
waste
know.
of
Don't
time.
want to know. They really don't
They
want to
just
know.
don't want to know.
Nobody
Environmental
wants to
health
know.
were prepared to do something if one of the neighbours had put their head over the parapet and complained.
Well, there
Well,
have
that's
been
what
people
the
who-
lady who came today, she's complaining.
No, what it is,
Now
I
gets
should
into trading
we can break
standards.
this down a little bit actually. First of all, on dog barking, I went on the RSPCA site. So I actually got to RSPCA headquarters and they said if it's dog barking, go to, we're not interested, go to environmental health. So I spoke to the girl in environmental health. We've all talked to at one time. And it is very, very tedious because environmental health will not go in unless they give 24 hours notice. They never got around to putting up microphones. But what they wanted was for the people in the surrounding area to fill in a performer, minute by minute, of when the dogs were barking. And in a way I can understand that, but quite frankly, you're not going to sort of get up in the middle of the night and sort of say from 1:10 to 4:15 they were barking, or at 7:30 in the morning and they was, but they are going at various times. But they're going at various times continually. But they are not prepared to accept, they're not prepared to accept a generalisation.
Nobody's prepared to
The
accept
biggest
it.
worry I would have now, if it's true, if this lady is importing dogs from Romania and they are coming in without any checks and any form of quarantine,
We could
surely
have
that's
a huge
illegal.
problem on our hands. I
And-
did,
and
I
health
Well, running businesses,
You won't get any joy from the RSPCA because
No.
they love it. They love people that are looking after animals or pretending to look after
Yeah, but if they're bringing in rabies and...
Exactly.
Well, but
Well, and also-
It won't be checked on that, but there's ways and means of,
But
because
I
they've got to have an injection now with a number on it.
Oh, yeah, you do. Well, you've got to, yes,
That's the law.
but you're to be controlled.
microchipped.
Well, I think there's a limitation on what the parish council can get involved in. That's the
Exactly.
Would that-
problem.
Would the Dogs Trust be involved?
I think they approached the Dogs Trust actually, by the sound of it. She
I don't know.
said they'd approached the Dogs Trust.
Oh,
I'm
they
not
did.
sure they've got anywhere with it, but they have
The
approached
thing
them.
is, that it's the welfare of those dogs.
Mm.
It is appalling. It's been going on for years.
Oh, yeah.
And she said the smell. Well, should
Well, I know
something be
that
done about the smell?
there was a time when the
It'd be
person wanted to
horrifying
go
if it was
there.
next door to you, as it's next door to John.
When, well, they've moved now, a couple that lived in, not quite opposite me, they just sold their house and moved. One summer, because of what was going on the other side, in their garden, on the fence, they said it was black with flies, all the time. Because when you get feces from dogs and from hens and ducks and all the rest, and it was just said it
And
was
rats.
terrible, and rats. It is appalling. It has been going on for years. For some reason, nobody who in authority wants to do anything
No, they
about
don't, they
it.
don't seem to want to do
We're not.
anything.
This is not something we're making up, and all these people who live there are afraid to say something.
And what was upsetting today as well was the one lady's husband's got dementia. And he's
Yeah.
tearing his hair out with the noise of the dogs at
He can't
night.
cope
He's
with it.
so upset he can't cope with it. Well, that shouldn't
Well,
be
well,
allowed.
Part and parcel of the problem.
But again, as I say, it's very limited to what we can do as a parish council. And if she's going, obviously as she is, and I've got an email she sent to the environmental services here at Sedgemoor, and also going to trading standards to see whether the fact that she's running a business from that
It
address.
has got to trading standards.
She sent a copy of it to trading standards, so that I actually think that we still have to leave it with Sedgemoor to
Yes,
actually
of course.
deal with their process first. But you know, or I did suggest that she might like to take some legal action, take some legal advice
Yes.
from a local solicitor.
Yes,
But of course, there would be a charge involved in that, of course. But they might give her half an hour free.
What about
Please.
citizens' advice?
She's been to citizens' advice. They've been to
And that's
citizens'
the route
advice.
she's going, isn't it?
Yeah.
Citizens' advice
Yeah,
and trading standards. She has to go that way.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I would have thought if they're now, this is this Romanian rescue.
Romanian Rescue Appeal. That's an RBU.
I would have thought RSPCA would have been involved in that. personally.
They weren't.
They weren't.
They weren't. They're useless.
They'll condone it and they'll love it.
They'll support it.
So I've raised the matter. Whether there's anything you wish me to do on behalf of the council on this, I don't know.
I have chapter and verse from the RSPCA. We were talking about it, and the girl I was talking, the woman I was talking to, who runs the local establishment, was saying that they are constrained by the Animal Welfare Act, and they hide behind that. And she tells me that people who, some of their inspectors who go out, who come back tearing their hair out because of the Animal Welfare Act, they can't act so within the confines of the Act. Well, I don't know, I haven't studied it, but everybody backtracks.
Well, I think we are in a situation where we can't do anything and we've given the right advice to
We're back over 20 years ago.
to the people concerned.
And you know, hopefully they might get some response from the trading standards, which might
Yeah,
assist them in some way. That's really all we can hope for at this stage, I think.
I thought you had to have a licence to be able
They're
to.
looking, somebody's going to look into that, aren't they?
Yes,
the
I
trade
think
someone-
so, yes.
Yes.
You are supposed to have a licence if you're dealing
Yeah.
with dogs
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
even caring for them. and
She's
they come
selling
and
them,
inspect.
somebody said. She's selling them.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. If she's trading in dogs, effectively, if she's selling dogs, buying dogs and selling them, then she's operating a business, effectively. And that's fine. She's probably okay to do that, provided she has the necessary licenses and so forth in place. But I don't know enough about the law regarding the trading standards to advise on that, really. So all we can do is wait and see what happens from her email to Sedgemoor and see whether that provokes any further.
Did she say she would keep us informed?
Yeah, she'll be here next month, I'm sure. She was here last month, she's here today, and she'll probably be here next month.
Well, I suppose when you're right on that problem, you
Well, it's the focus of your whole life, isn't
Well,
it?
it
You know?
affects you. I mean,
Yeah,
let's face it, you've got
so-
dogs barking all the time, you see they're in distress and all the other things. I mean, you're not going to turn away, are
She's
you?
also, I understand, she's retired from work too.
She has.
Yes, she
that's
has.
what they're worried about.
And that's another concern of theirs, of course, because she's retired, she can now have more time to dedicate to her business. But obviously, coming back to your point about the mobile home being there, or motorhome being back in, I mean,
You can't do a lot better.
apart from let PC Wills know. If-
But
if-
can
If
it-
it's tax and whatever.
Can it just be
that's
left
the
on
road.
a road?
No,
And in front
it's got to be
forever?
taxed, it's got to be taxed.
Yeah, if it is tax, can you just leave
Yeah,
it?
police will find that out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, do it usually, wouldn't
I
it?
Just
didn't
full
know
of
that.
rubbish. It's just totally full of rubbish.
Really?
Interestingly, I think you can use a motorhome on it. You can't leave a motor. You can leave a caravan, not a motorhome, because a caravan is not taxed, is it?
That's right.
No.
I think you can leave a caravan on the highway. Actually, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure you can. But
But I'm sure they'll post for it.
Have you another kennel?
I've
got another kennel.
Well, it might
called her bluff. If these people contacted local TV
Mm.
and they were interested in making a programme,
Well, that would be one way about it.
Yes, it
might
would.
stir things
Not
up.
many properties in the village can get local TV. If you contact Wells.
I mean, you know, to really stir it up.
Come on to our radio,
That's
so we can get
big
it.
friends over there.
Just.
Mm.
Okay.
Anything on current matters from the club?
No, nothing at all.
Thank you. Had enough. We've got a letter from the Secretary of State of the Parish Hall.
Secretary of State.
So I think, do you need to leave at this point?
Not on the first one, have leave on the second one.
Parking issues.
Why?
I blame you, because if you did have successful events, we would have a parking issue.
This is it.
Yeah, the parking issue. Obviously, you've all read it. You can see what the concern was and what, if anything, we as parish council would like to.
Carry on
Do it.
doing what we've been doing for the last 10
We
years.
as a parish council, in fact, in the past, have requested
That's
some
it.
lines down there, haven't
They won't do it.
we? And they won't do it.
And also, I think I brought it up, where the parking opposite the church there, the chapel, they're parking over the
Slow side.
designated slow sign, so nobody can see. And in any case, if they have to pass that car parked on that line, you meet somebody head on coming on around there, so they shouldn't be parking there.
I'm sure if the village hall have got an event on that might cause a problem outside Ivy Clad Hall or elsewhere, if they contacted highways, they would supply no waiting cones.
This is true.
And they could put those along there, and then that is,
No, weren't they?
Can't you?
that would cover them.
They did it when they would do it in Ivy Hall. But what I was going to say, what we said about the cars parked, sorry, Cynthia was saying the cars parked on the slow side, but it might strengthen our argument for having a white line there, saying that this is happening on more than one occasion now. People are parking on the slow side, which doesn't
Well, they can't.
doesn't
Well,
give people
well,
a
the
warning.
reason it's there
We had
is-
several people go into the pen, crash on that pen.
I suppose the photographs need to be taken.
Can we write to?
Right to council. Council.
Yeah, please.
And can we advise the village hall to contact highways
Yeah,
regarding?
I would do the same.
If we do it and
They-
Village Hall do it,
Yeah,
And we can certainly, we can feed back to the parish hall, and obviously the hope is, we had obviously this time complaints about that corner. We've had police saying and acknowledging the fact that they're obviously agreeing that there was a problem. So if we can potentially get Pete Wills even to back us when we go to highways, but it's really just trying to get as many people as possible, I think, to raise it. Because one of the problems when it was discussed at the parish hall was one of the suggestions was about putting cones. Of course, if you put cones around that corner, you actually narrow the road still further, and you're pushing cars into the middle of the road where they're going to be facing someone coming the other way. So we could end up stopping a parking problem and causing a traffic accident, and then who's liable? And that's the difficulty you start to get into.
At the end of the day, any event that's held in the village of any size or nature is going to cause a parking issue.
Yeah.
We have a parking issue at the best of times, and it's an order that is exacerbated, doesn't it?
And also, Chairman, this year, one of the things that exacerbated the problem with parking was, in fact, before the fete even started, there was a parking problem there because there was a massive wedding that was taking place up at St Michael's at the same time. So they parked all the way down there as well. So that's why there was
Was that the same day as the fete?
Yes,
on the same day as the fete.
and in the afternoon.
Can we not speak nicely to our... I was going to call him vicar in charge, but I can't remember.
Priest in charge, priest in charge.
Priest in charge, Simon, yes. Can't he sort of not do...
If you can get him.
It doesn't matter
We not have
no.
clashing items or something?
Yeah, very much agree.
Can you avoid...
He's been,
But there is no answer.
There is no.
Well, there is an answer, but I don't know how readily it's
so the
solved.
fate in December.
No, there is just before that bend, there is a big field on the left-hand side.
That's right.
Why can't we have that as temporary parking?
Well, that's Francis.
As a relatively new person to the village, my wife and I have both said that.
She allows it for...
That field has been used as a car
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
Satisfaction.
she also has it, she also
If
lets
you
it.
asked her nicely, I'm sure she might.
Yes, she does, doesn't she?
She lets
But
it.
that wouldn't be for the parish council to ask, it would be for the parish hall,
And also,
but without blessing.
part of the issue is then you've got the issue of marshalling
Yeah.
and whether you can insist that people go in there because
Yeah.
people will park there or park.
But John Page won't have a job this year.
That's true.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so
Well, I mean,
Like the
can we
county,
not
try and get
pursue it
people-
for the future, though, Bob, seriously, because it's only going to get worse. And it limits the number of people that come to the event, I guess. And indeed, any other
You know,
event
in
we have,
villages,
you
what
have
they have.
music on the green and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Bob, who is the portfolio holder for highways? Is there one person?
For highways is John Woodman,
John
County.
So I should address, obviously, to him, I would guess, in the first instance, probably. Would that be the best person? So he can probably take it up on our behalf as the elected
Yeah.
county councillor?
Yeah.
As opposed to an officer who perhaps wouldn't have any particular
Yeah.
reason for doing it.
He's based in Birmingham.
He's Highbridge, yeah.
John would.
Highbridge.
Okay, but Bob and would you like to go out from there? I should think 10 seconds, but
Yeah.
As well as that.
Yeah, we've had a request here from the parish. Sandra Fields requested two dates in 2018, 9th of June and 21st of July, one for the music on the green and the other for the fete.
Can I propose that we go to the right?
Yeah.
seconded, all in
Providing
favour?
they take care of parking.
Yes.
Sorry?
Providing they
Sort of parking
consider
problem.
parking problem.
Put a qualification on it.
Yeah, go on.
No dogs.
They have.
They've run away.
They've run away.
They've
Are you sure they've run
gone
away?
respect
Where have you been?
How do you go outside the door? There was one other item of correspondence which I've got listed down here. In fact, I think it's something else on the agenda. They have to do with the Unity Trust Banking, removing of new charges structure. You may recall that some time ago, the Unity Trust Bank wrote to us and said because we'd had a turnover, as they described it, and he pointed out to them, we're a parish council, not commercial business, of over 100,000, we would be subject to their new tariff charges. What they didn't realise was, of course, they took it from the year when we had a massive grant of £50,000 in 1 year. Anyway, they've come back to me now. They've said they're going to send a letter. I haven't received it yet, but they're going to send a letter out removing all new charges on the basis of the evidence that we provided them. So we won't be bothered for any more charges. Okay, so that's that basically.
So finance and approved.
Finance, well, there's quite, actually, considering it's September, quite lightweight actually, because normally after the break there's normally quite a bit. But on the finance side, we've simply got the park and statue payments, which is the normal tax, salary, and Jason Mayo GB Sports at 1414. There's the annual plan inspection report for 2017-18 of 7920. And I've also put on there the retrospective payment to Heritage Landscapes, which we paid in August, of 553.65. So is it?
Did you get a full agreement on that from email?
I did.
Thank you.
I didn't get a total. I have to say I didn't get a total agreement, but I got more than half. I got 7 out of the 11 councillors to agree to it, so that was sufficient to make the payment.
Thank you. So can we have a proposal for
Yes.
John, seconded, and all in favour?
Okay.
That's all done, thank you.
Right. There's a couple of other things on there. The Eon sent me a communication recently about renewing the fixed price contract we've got for the energy supply for toilet block. Because the rate's now up and down like a yo-yo, and because our contract doesn't end until November, they've suggested it's in our interest to hang fire until nearer November to get a more accurate tariff update. But in the meanwhile, I'm looking at other suppliers as well to see whether we could save a few pounds by changing suppliers. And if we can, and obviously we might just as well do so. But
Just out of curiosity, presumably there is a meter somewhere,
there is.
which they may or may not read.
Well, I think the last time was really Brian read it.
So we are, they are relying, so
Before it was started.
they count that, I believe, as an estimate rather than a...
Yeah, no, I think the reading we got, the last one was an actual reading. So they've obviously found their way into this.
I'm just conscious that I took a plunge and I'm now on smart meters, and that has meant my direct debit has gone down by £100 a month.
A month?
Yeah, because they overcharge you based upon their estimates,
Oh, yes.
whereas
they
their
do.
estimates are ridiculously high. But now I've got real, actual readings of usage on every, I think it takes a reading every 15 seconds. Or
You can
every
press
half
it,
minute.
I think the
No, it's a
complication,
smart meter, is it?
Yes.
I think the complication we got here for a smart meter is the fact that I think there are 3 meters actually, Brian, aren't there? I think delivering the electricity there. One's a sort of an out of hours one, you know, sort of low energy one, and then there's another one. Because there was a confusion when we changed to Eon because we couldn't line up their meters with their numbers, but we did in the end. But
That shouldn't make any difference because the smart meter should adjust itself on the tariff that you're on.
Yeah. Well, why don't we, whoever we agree to go with them, why don't we ask them to put a smart meter in there and then they've got accurate
I guess there is a problem. I read it in the business page of the Daily Telegraph not so long ago that there is quite a bit of a problem with smart meters if you start changing suppliers.
Yes, it can be.
It can be because the smart meter is put in by your
By the current supplier.
current supplier.
Yeah.
I actually, as far as I'm concerned, I have dual fuel agreement. I had to do it online, and I put in my meter readings every month. So it's going to be on top of it all the time.
I do.
So it's easy. And furthermore, they send me an email every time saying please make every meter
They
reading.
phoned
Would
me
it be
up and
one
told me I
question?
had a smart meter. They phoned me up and told me I had a smart meter. I don't think you do.
You don't.
I don't. In fact,
They don't charge
I
you for it.
I phoned back and said, oh, you may have misinterpreted it. I said, I haven't. I said, we cancelled the date and they didn't come and fit it.
That's right. They
No, it
can't,
is not compulsory.
That's right,
It is just
they can't insist
Would it be
on
worth
it.
us reading our meter?
Sorry?
Would it be worth somebody reading our meter?
Possibly, but I mean,
Right, what it is.
our usage is so low.
Really?
Our annual amount is about £120 for a whole year.
Well,
For a whole year.
It's hardly worth all the hassle, really.
Yeah. The issue, I guess, is a standard
That's
charge.
wrong.
There'll be a significant standard charge on
I don't think there is actually.
Is there
That's
not?
funny. I don't think there is. There's only usage, I think.
that. Really?
Yeah.
Why is there any usage?
Well, because it's a business. It's a business
Don't they
rate,
have to pay
not
standing
I
charge?
think
some business rates don't.
we should not waste time on discussing
No,
that.
I just want to summarise the budget. Instead of just producing the budget like I normally do, I just thought halfway through the year, we talked about this afternoon in the meeting, just give you a rough idea where we are. We had an actual budget at the beginning of the year of 32,628. Our actual to date is 31,000. That looks high for a half year, but if you then deduct 7,775, which is the inward grant from Bath and West for the Crooked Lane, that comes down to 23,857, so it looks a bit better if you do it in that way. 38 is how I expect we're going to end up, and the reason why it's 38 from 23 is 15, which is the other half of our precept in September. Okay, so then our budget on expenditure is 13,105 on admin and 12,775, so it's actually 23,000 for the Bath and West payment. And if you look at the, more importantly, if you look at the bottom line there, our end of year forecast is 27 against 33 last year, but our fixed reserves are less because obviously we've moved amounts across from last year, which were in reserves, which are no longer reserves because we've used the reserve this year on the Crooked Lane and the painting of the play equipment. The end result is we're pretty well level. We're level par. There's very little in it between one year and the next. So we're okay as far as that's concerned. We have had one extra grant during the summer. Well, in fact, we had two really. We had the SEAL grant from Sedgemoor, and we also had two grand from the solar farm.
How much was that SEAL grant again?
2,460 pounds.
So everybody appreciates that every time there was a property built in the village, we get £2,460.
Not
necessarily.
Potentially. Is it scalable on the size of the
It's the
property?
size of the property, and also there are some properties that don't qualify. So if you have affordable houses, don't get the SIL amount on them. If they're open market houses, they do. Because obviously otherwise you're taking a subsidy off in order to put a subsidy back on.
So if we had a 50% affordables and 50% market, then the 50% market we would get something on those.
Correct. And it's based on square meterage.
Of the property.
And also do remember on this solar farm grant, because that's the first of 5 years, so we'll be getting £10,000 over a 5-year period, but we have to make sure that every year we send them an invoice for the, as I had to this year, send them an invoice for the £2,000, because they don't pay automatically. So obviously we'll need to probably take that into account when we come to look at precept and finances for next year. So that's just a brief summary. As I say, we're not even halfway through the year, we're 5 months into it according to these figures. So okay.
And the other thing that's on the agenda that we did discuss was the point of the VAT was higher this year as well.
Yeah, we had 4,000 because of the Bath and West element. I went for an early reclaim on that. Wouldn't normally do it until December, but because it was a big amount, I thought I'd do it earlier. So we've done that. So everything's at the moment up to date on finance. Okay.
Right, matters for consideration. Telephone box.
We now have 2 bits of information. We have a contract now, which we now actually own the telephone kiosk. The only thing that still remains is to remove their bits and pieces from there.
It was there.
It's still there at the moment. Spoken to the lady at BT, she said it does take about 3 to 4 months normally to get the equipment removed. But that's the contract. I've signed it on the council's behalf. I paid them the appropriate pound to transfer it into our ownership. And there is also behind you there is a BT painting kit, which I requested because I understood that BT were giving painting kits away, and that is a painting kit which allows us to repaint box in the same colour it should be, you know, the red post, colour box red, whatever. The whole kit is in there, it will do one telephone kiosk. So whoever we get to do it, Andy Solway, whoever, there is the kit. I just need to know if somebody would like to store it in their garage locally.
Was it not
Well,
stored in the back of the
Put it
toilet?
in, put it in,
Put it in here?
yeah.
Could we put it in
It's
the
a
box? Is that
room.
right?
No, in our.
Yeah, where the chairs are, you mean?
No,
No,
park the toilet block.
Oh, right, put it in there. Can do.
It's a room.
Do we need a key for that? Is there a key for that?
And we've got, yeah, there's a key in
In the code.
the code, yeah,
Okay.
combination lock, yeah, key out, undo the lock.
I would have thought that was the best place to have it in there.
So, yeah, so okay, so that's where it needs to be stored then till Andy gets around to doing it. We haven't asked him to do it yet.
We asked him to quote.
Right.
Right. Any response from BKN on neighbourhood planning?
Can I just,
What's that?
can I just, are there any suggestions about
Uses.
what you're going to
Uses,
do with this bond? And there we have it.
Are we going to have a defibrillator?
How much was a defibrillator?
Could we put that on the next agenda?
Yeah, can
We've got
Give us a
time to
thought.
think about it.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, I'm not allowed to talk about defibrillators, because that's been spoken about and killed during the last 6 months.
It was actually 12 months before we last spoke about it, actually.
Sorry?
It was 12 months before we last spoke
12
about it.
months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we spent another 6 months deciding that we don't want a defibrillator. Anyway, if you had a defibrillator there, you pulled it out and needed to use it, where do you go to the phone? You'd take the phone out.
Good point.
Sick.
So is that something for next
It's
Yeah,
use. Yeah, I think we ought to.
We'll debate it fully next meeting, I think.
Next agenda.
Is it worth
Jen,
putting in the BKN? Get village interest.
Yes.
I mean, for goodness sake, let's get the village involved.
Village now owns the
Yeah.
telephone kiosk. What would you like to do with it?
Yeah, let's get something in the article. Can you?
Answer some postcard.
The only trouble I worry about is that we have to be careful about what we use it for. If we want to use it for local advertising, you're going to take revenue away from the post office, and pretty well a lot of the issues that you'd like to turn it into like a little mini book library, a lending library, that already takes place in the
Yes,
shop.
it does.
I mean, I would suggest, Peter, it's our property. We control what happens to it,
We
therefore.
know that, but we also
Yeah,
We've
so
got to be mindful
you
of
have to be
that.
aware
That's
of
it.
what, yeah.
I mean, my logical one we would say to the school children, use it for display artwork,
Yeah.
or village
So
artwork.
I'm just TARDIS.
Put it on the agenda.
We'll discuss it fully next.
Yes, and do remember, of course, Caroline has been part of this contract exchange
Yeah, I know
anyway.
that, yeah.
So she it's been with her blessing that it's come
Yeah,
across
so we
us.
have to.
It would be useful, as well as going to the BKN, is if we could actually ask Caroline for her input.
Yeah.
What would she like to see in it?
Yes.
If somebody would be prepared to ask her, please. Who uses the shop regularly?
We all use it, we all
Bob,
use
did
it.
you want to say something?
you know, happy to talk to Caroline, but also, can I just confirm, we have resolved that we are going to get a quote for getting it painted with the kit that we've got?
Andy Solway, I've got down here actually.
Okay, query.
Okay, quote, yeah. Maybe when you come to the playing equipment, you can give us a quote at the same time. That's probably the best thing.
So neighbourhood planning, we haven't had received anything.
I've received nothing at all.
Part of the cost.
Monthly meetings, timing and calendar.
Can I just ask, Chairman, on the neighbourhood planning, do we need to resolve that we are going to do something or not do something in respect to the fact that we've had no response?
No further action.
Sounds right, discuss it for 6 months.
I think that's it, isn't it?
Reckon just
Yeah.
review it in 6
So
months'
is it
time.
resolved not to have a neighbourhood plan, basically, what we're saying?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I believe I'm right in saying that the
6
council
months.
doesn't have to be the leader in
Sorry.
involving that.
No.
We are seeking somebody else to lead it.
So is that unanimous?
Yeah.
That we should?
Yeah.
Okay. No, the only reason I put that on there is because I think we had a conversation with Bob, we were just thinking about timings that we, like 7 o'clock study period, and then we have a public session, and then we have the main meeting, and whether we're happy with those timings, that was, I think, the reason I put it on there.
One of the things we looked at when, I think when Colin was still chairman, was we used to get to this point where we'd sit, like we did today, looking at each other for 15 to 20 minutes, because we'd got nothing else to do. We couldn't start because it was not 7:30. And at that stage we did talk about having a thing where we said, in effect, from 7 o'clock we were here, we were doing the inspection, the public session, and then once the public session was finished, we would go straight on to the meeting. That's what's reflected in the Brent Knoll News and the Village Diary at the moment, but that's not what is on our agenda or what we do. We wait until 7:30, so we do have sometimes these sort of 10-15 minutes where we're just killing time. And it was a question of which way we wanted to look at it.
It's up to you,
I want to all have it agree.
I was talking to a certain person, and they read in the BKN about the start times, and they admitted they were confused about the times that the actual meeting started. I think the suggestion that we run from the public open meeting, when that's concluded, go straight into the meeting, would be an ideal situation.
But the problem is, like tonight, we could have, and we had it historically, we've had people come in at 29 minutes past 7 to try and want to avoid.
Well, if you say the start time for the public meeting is 7 o'clock, and then we will go into our meeting whatever time the public meeting concludes, then they would have to be here at 7.
Yeah.
and of course, you've got this period of time if you get a lot of planning applications, like we did on the one before last, where we had 4. But of course, in time, you're not going to have the hard copy anyway. Within probably the next 6 months or so, we're only going to be up there. So you won't have to have the public session with looking at plans out, or you have to have the plans out, I suppose. We won't have them there, will we? No, the public won't be able to look at them either.
No,
They'll look at them online.
What about a lot of people come along to read the plans?
Yeah.
It won't happen.
They won't be able to.
In terms of planning though, I mean, everybody should have a duty of care to prepare themselves for the meeting and try and look at the plans in advance anyway. What about the calendar bit? You say monthly meeting timings.
Before we go on, could something be put in the BKN about start times?
Yeah.
Yes.
And also that remind them that plans won't be visible here, but will only be available online
As of
we don't know yet.
We don't know exactly.
in the near future.
what was the point of the calendar section on that agenda item?
Sorry?
It says monthly meeting timings and calendar.
Well, that's just to make sure everyone's happy with what we do, basically. It's clarification more than anything else. Are there any changes anybody wishes to make? You know?
So we'll always start at 7:30 then?
No, 7.
7 o'clock.
No, I mean,
We could start at
meetings.
7:15.
No, we could start at
If there's an
7.
All right, okay.
So I was saying 7:15 for public session and then straight on to the main meeting. Is that what we're
No,
saying?
7 o'clock.
No,
7
7
o'clock.
o'clock.
What we're saying is the public meeting is at 7 o'clock.
Public meeting, 7 o'clock.
And if people don't turn up,
We can start
we just go into our normal meeting.
Yeah, public meeting,
Yeah, you'll be
followed
sure
by...
if you-
7:15 and start 7:30.
Okay.
And are we happy with, is it 11 meetings a year?
Yes. Well, it's actually more than that. If we have
You've got the provision for the
Yeah.
interim.
Yeah.
But I mean, in reality, it's 11 a year, and the Wednesday, and we don't want to change the Wednesday if we're going to start.
I know. I always like Monday.
I like Thursday.
Friday? No, I mean, the provisional meeting, interestingly, over the last 2 years, I think we've only had 2 in the last 2 years. And that's largely because, generally speaking, as long as I get a planning application within the first week of the month, it usually extends to the first week of the next month. It's only if it comes in the back end of the previous month that it misses the agenda that sometimes there can be a problem.
If they're going to go electronic, Bob, is that going to cause any issues over the timing of that principle? In other words, you know.
No, it doesn't change the statutory time.
No.
Thank you.
What it will do, of course, it will make it even more important to look online, because at the moment. I mean, Bob told me about one that's now come in for October today, which I haven't been online today, so I haven't spotted it. So we'll put a notice on us to look at.
Well, we get this week, you get the weekly thing.
You get the
from
weekly
Sedgwick.
bulletin anyway. But that's
We'll get the
sometime-
set, yes, we get if you're
Okay.
subscribing, yes.
Malcolm, the difficulty for you, of course, is that when we go onto online only, it means that you won't get a chance to see the planning application here or online.
No, we'll have it listed on here.
It'll be listed, but you won't see the detail of it. That's the
Well, I
problem.
don't see the details until I come here
No.
anyway, but it'll be on the screen.
Yeah, yeah.
But did we not agree that, I don't know where we are with that, we agreed in principle that Malcolm was going to have a computer.
No.
And that's died, is it?
Yes. I decided not to.
All right.
But I'm upset. And I don't think Malcolm should be sorted out, and I think I should have my computer in, so that I can do it.
We've considered item D.
Yep.
Anything on affordable housing
Steering
provision?
group.
Steering
Not heard anything.
Oh,
Not
what
yet.
about the exercise equipment?
Isn't there a meeting planned?
We've already
This is one next
discussed
week.
Oh, right, yes, we have, I suppose.
Yeah, that's next week, sorry.
Right.
What day?
It's-
The meeting,
Yeah,
14th.
is it, I know.
Thursday.
14th, 2:30 my house.
14th of the month.
So that's a week.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Car park notice board.
Yeah, this notice board out here has been a problem for quite a long time. As you know, we had a new key installed, which Warwick put in for us back along. It's still causing problems. It doesn't shut properly. It hasn't shut properly for a long time. And when I came here in August, I noticed that a lot of the stuff had fallen down into the bottom of it and got very damp because it's not closing properly. And I'm not quite sure where we go. I really do feel perhaps we've got to a stage where we might need to replace it. It's not a good notice board, never has been. I've had trouble with the locks for the whole 10 years I've been around. It's been a problem lock on there. We don't seem to be able to solve the problem.
Can we get one and they would supply and fit it?
Well, either that, or we get one the same size, but obviously more updated than that, and have it fitted to the existing posts.
Get a quote.
Get some quotes.
Get a quote. Area and Sign makes them. And they make beautiful wooden ones.
Would that be acceptable?
But I mean, shall I, if I'm looking at this,
There is that one and there's oodles in the...
Oh, in the magazines, yeah.
well, I'll ask,
If you could do
Yeah,
that, John, and I'll take it up with the national ones.
okay, that's good.
Do we want to expand dog bins?
Well, no, obviously.
Oh, so
It might also be worth having a word with Jim Murray at East Brent, because they've just had a series of quotes for replacement notice board. in
Oh,
East
they?
Brent.
Okay, Jim Murray then. That's good, lovely. Okay.
Dog bin provision.
This came up at the surgery last time in July, and Jenny Butters raised the matter that all the dog bins are in one part of the village.
You should write.
So that she was saying that places like Burton Road and Station Road and so forth should also be considered for dog bin provision. I think that's what she was saying in essence. So I said I'll bring it to the meeting and let you chew it over.
The question is how do we organise these things and is there a cost?
I think it is a necessity, because if you're in Burnt Road, you're right alongside the fields. If you go into the fields, I mean, it's not the same if the dog defecates on the pavement, but the kids are walking around.
There's no pavement at all on Burton Road.
Well, I shouldn't think many people walk their dogs down
And that's
Oh
right.
yes, they do.
there, do they?
Well, both our neighbours.
Jolly dangerous.
And Jenny Butters has got a troop of
Yeah.
7 or 8 dogs.
And she's also got a big car.
What about Station Road?
There's a pavement through Station Road.
I should
Usually
I
goes
would
straight.
say everybody, apart from us, and Mac across the way, have got dogs and they exercise them.
Yeah.
On the road.
I'm saying that there's, but I said, is there a need for it?
Yeah. Station Road probably water.
But not Burton Road.
Well, at the top end, as you approach more into the village of Burton Road, I would suggest there is, because there is footpaths.
Is there any dog bins in Eastbury?
Now this end, as you come up towards, there are as you go around the bend from Station Road into Burton Road, there are footpaths up
Yeah.
to the middle lane, and I would suggest that perhaps we ought to have one there. If you're going to have one. But I guess there's a cost implementation from...
Well, there are two costs involved. There's one of installation and there's one of emptying. So it will be a question of us getting a quote from Karen Barnes, essentially.
Let's just, before we decide one way or the other, can we please ask for a quote for two? One in Station Road and
Is that your wish for us to get a
Well,
quote?
I've got no problem with the quote, but I think we ought to get a few more jobs done before we actually spend more money.
Yeah.
I'd rather know what we're up to.
Well, if we get some quotes in, then we can decide.
And you've got to put it on Parish Council Lane ground.
Yes.
You get permission, because we have that, the last one we've got by Francis James has been up to
That
ask for,
wasn't
yeah, ask for, put it on
And the
ground
people
or
opposite
something.
got upset, didn't
They
they?
did.
Some.
Moved it.
Yeah.
Well, it was moved into Open, but I don't know if we asked Francis James, whoever owns it.
Chairman, I was only going to suggest that again, it might be worth, if we're getting the quotes, in the meantime, put something that people can respond to in the Brent Knoll News, because it may well be that Station Road and Burton Road people will come out en masse saying, well, yes, we definitely want bins, or not. But it would at least be worth finding out if there is an option.
Yes, please do. That'd be good. Sid.
Now,
We'll have a broken Sid.
we've got a broken Sid. Now, obviously it's been running on for a bit of a while now. I've been in touch with the German lady, Radar Lux, and she said they're very happy to take the machine back, replace the glass, service the machine, and quote us a price for doing so. As long as we just pack it up and send it on to them. So that's really, that's a contact we've got now to send it back. Now, I spoke to County Highways and they were a bit sort of lukewarm about Radar Lux, but in fact Jim Murray said to me from East Brent that they'd had no problem at all with them. They'd returned theirs and they'd had them back within a couple of weeks fully repaired. So the question is how we go about, it needs to be packed up obviously, because I don't imagine that Richard's still got the original packaging, so it will need to be packed and sent by a DHL or whatever, one of these courier people. Now whether Richard would be prepared to do that for us if we paid him the appropriate amount.
Did you have a quote, did you say price?
We haven't, no, she said they, ideally, because they don't know exactly what's wrong with it, she suggests that we send it back and they will quote
Before they do the repair.
before they do the repair. Yeah.
And I guess there is an element of calibration or recalibration.
Yeah, they'd look at the whole thing and make sure it's all working properly.
And that was before we left Europe.
Well, we'll have it back before we
We
do.
haven't actually left Europe yet. We've indicated we'd like to.
No,
So-
I was going to say much the same as Peter.
So, shall I send a little note off to Richard or have a chat on the telephone asking if he's prepared to do that? Give him the details.
Have you got the address?
I can give it to him.
Is it worth speaking to the chap from East Brent to find out what they charged him?
Their problem was slightly different though. They didn't have the same problems we had.
Right.
Theirs was a different. I mean, I think theirs was under warranty. If I'm right, a warranty item. So I don't think it's quite like for like.
We just get a quote and then
I think as a matter of principle, we as a council would support a SID in the village.
Yes.
Yes?
Steep idea.
Okay.
And the alternative is to buy a new one.
Well, if we got a quote.
It's £3.5 grand.
Well, it's £3.5 grand, so it's worth looking to repair it first.
Was there any guarantee on that when you purchased
Yeah,
it?
but it's not a guarantee item because it was damaged.
Ah,
Problem on someone hit it.
Might be an insurance claim,
Yeah,
Right.
possibly insurance claim. We might be able to get something off the insurance company.
because we could actually say then we have a quote for
Quite
repair
expensive,
following a
isn't it?
damaged,
Yes.
accidental
They
damage.
probably want to see a photograph of the damaged unit probably, so I
Yes.
can ask Richard to do
Could we
that.
ask
Well,
Richard to take a photograph of the damage?
Mm.
It might be that we could get something, I don't know whether we've got
There's a what do you call it?
Premium.
Premium.
Yeah, premium on the. So it might be.
yeah, no, it was a lot of money, wasn't it?
well, it depends on what they
Yeah,
quote.
depends what it was.
Moving on.
Forget what they call it. I can't think of the word.
Council representation,
Done that.
SDC planning, we've dealt
Done
with.
that.
CPR courses.
Somebody raised this.
I raised it.
Oh, right. Okay.
Promising
When was
the
it?
defibrillator.
I've forgotten when we had the last course, actually.
It was about 2 years ago.
Is it really?
I think we should be looking, I would suggest we look to do it sometime beginning of next year. During the winter months, which when people are. May I suggest we have it put on the agenda?
Early 2018.
Yes.
Well, so are you setting up on the agenda for then, or before then? Obviously, I
We
suppose
could put
it's
it on the
taken-
agenda perhaps the beginning of the year,
Right.
so that we can.
How did we get people to come to the last one?
Yeah,
Advertised it, BK.
No, these ones.
And a lot came actually.
It might be that's the way to do it, is it?
Oh, I think so, no. Through the Brent Knoll, yes.
Okay.
But do it probably, well, you know.
Okay, we're meeting ourselves on a week Saturday. Brian?
Can I, for your permission, first of all, to put that up in the post office?
Can't read that right here, my eyes are getting bad.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
What is that?
Meet your parent.
It's just a
I think-
similar.
It says, be your parish council
Oh,
and
yes.
telephone box.
Yes.
And
There's some
also
coffee and tea on there.
tea, coffee and
Oh,
light
if they
fresh.
encourage them to come.
Would it be in order for me to ask for a small donation and my wife and I will organise that?
Yes, of
Are
course.
you sure?
Yeah.
So,
What time are we supposed to be meeting each other?
It's 10 till 12.
10 till 12, thank you. Set the alarm clock
It's
early.
10 minutes, is it?
Yeah,
What are you doing? Are you doing cakes and things?
roast beef and Yorkshire
Oh,
pudding.
I will come then.
No, just little bites and things
Yes,
like
and
that.
I'll
Canapes.
If you're happy to do that, Brian, that'd be...
Yeah,
Or she's doing this.
she doesn't know yet, but...
Oh, she doesn't know yet. Well, thank you in advance, anyway.
Yeah, well, if
Right.
there's any problem, I'll let you know.
Parish rather than village.
Sulk,
parish hall.
Where have I put
You've got village hall.
I think it's in the Jubilee Room, it's
Oh,
yeah.
that? Not on Broadway. Oh, no.
Is it Jubilee Room?
Jubilee.
Unfortunately.
No, it's not, it's in Nuttall, isn't
We'll
it?
get to come in
No, but it's
here.
not.
Jubilee.
Yeah, it's in Nuttall.
Is it in that one?
It's in Nuttall.
Because last on that thing you sent round.
Yeah, but we had this big debate when we went to the BKN last time. Brian had got one, I got the other. So we spoke to Jenny Butters and we decided that Nuttall Room was the right place.
And get here early because it's good parking.
Yeah, okay.
Sulk?
Now, SALC is an interesting one. As you know, we pay a fee to SALC every year for their support services. The lady who was there, Sam Winter, resigned and went on to another job back in January this year. And since that time, I've had not a single communication from SALC at all, of any shape or form.
Have you checked with other...
Yes, I've spoken to Justin, I've spoken to other clerks. Nobody has had any invoices for their services, their normal subscription. I'm a bit of a loss actually. I spoke to Justin and he said, no, I've just not been able to do anything on my own. And I said, well, are you actually recruiting somebody else? He said, well, yeah, eventually. And then I spoke to another clerk who said he's trying to do it all on his own apparently. It's just clearly not working because we're not actually paying a subscription at the moment, so actually we're not paying for a service. But they are a useful source of very good information. And I don't feel at the moment I could really go back to them and ask them anything because Justin's never there. Whenever I phone, he's on an answer
How
phone.
much do we currently pay them?
Well, we were paying 700, no, I can't remember how many it was. No, 400 last year. I think. So I don't know whether, I mean, Bob, you haven't heard anything like that?
No, I mean, normally this time of year, so then in September, October, will be the AGM,
Yeah,
which we should be hearing about fairly soon. And
yeah.
if we do get notified of that, then obviously I'll raise it there that we're not
Yeah.
getting any help
We're not
and
getting any
support.
communication, which is quite strange, really.
Yeah.
It just goes to show how important, what an important job Sam was doing,
Mm.
Yeah.
She was really communicating with us.
There was an item that we thought was going on the agenda.
Fracking,
Yeah, fracking.
yeah.
But it hasn't
Well,
gone on. Do we need to
well,
put it on for matters arising?
It is on it's actually on my agenda, you not got on yours?
No.
I added it actually right at the very end, and it went on notice boards, but it was just that this lady, Denise Barnes, I think it was, wrote us, which I forwarded on to you, about the fracking.
She lives where?
She said Middle Street, but
No, she's not. She lives way out of.
She's in Middle Street wherever she lives. It's called Middle Street coincidentally.
But it may not be in the middle street here.
But they're planning to move to...
There's planning to
They're
move.
planning to move to Brent Knoll. But the point is, if you go on to Somerset website and you traipse all through the documentation in a bit further than the item that